Have you ever wondered why, despite staying busy all the time, you sometimes feel a deep emptiness that nothing seems to fill? Why does something feel missing even when you're doing everything society tells you is right? This emptiness hints at something profound, a part of ourselves we often overlook. We live in a world that celebrates action. We're constantly in motion, pursuing goals, chasing targets, and stacking up achievements. Yet, beneath this endless hustle, a part of us feels unfulfilled. What's missing is a connection to a deeper dimension within us, not the one tied to doing, but to simply being. This divide between our human side, conditioned by time, goals, and challenges, and our essential being, something timeless and profound, forms the heart of our existence. The real challenge lies in harmonizing these two parts. Few of us realize they must coexist. We aren't just defined by what we do, we're also shaped by who we are, deep down. But the demands of modern life pull us further away from this truth. The more we focus on doing, the more we drift from being. And as we lose touch with this deeper essence, the emptiness grows. So here's the real question. How do we balance the relentless drive to do with the stillness of simply being? How do we honor our responsibilities while staying connected to our true selves? The constant cycle of doing. From the moment we wake up, life becomes a checklist. Goals, responsibilities, ambitions. They're always calling. This is the essence of doing. It's about focusing on what hasn't been achieved yet and always reaching for more. From a young age, we're taught that success is measured by our accomplishments, how we overcome challenges, and the status we gain. Society pushes us to constantly strive for something: financial security, recognition, personal growth. But in this endless pursuit, we often become prisoners of our desires. No matter what we achieve, there's always another goal waiting. The cycle never stops. At the center of this drive is the ego. It's the part of us that craves action, competition, and achievement. The ego thrives in chaos, feeding on frustration and dissatisfaction. Ironically, it creates the very emptiness it tries to fill. It keeps us focused on the past, our memories, and the future, our expectations, while pulling us away from the only time that truly matters, the present. Doing is essential for living in the world, but when it's unbalanced, it can trap us in an exhausting loop, leaving us disconnected from ourselves. We end up asking, is this all there is? Rediscovering the power of being. Unlike doing, being isn't about actions, goals, or proving anything. It's about presence. It's silent, still, and constant. Being is the core of who we are, beyond time, circumstances, and the noise of daily life. It's that peaceful awareness we feel in fleeting moments of calm, when the mind stops racing and we simply exist. In those rare moments, there's nothing to achieve, no expectations to meet, no problems to solve. We are fully present, deeply alive in the now. But these moments are hard to find. The constant demands of life and the chatter of our minds drown them out. Our minds are conditioned to focus on tasks, problems, and the next big thing, leaving little room for stillness. The beauty of being, though, is that it's always there, waiting for us to notice it. Amid the chaos, beneath the layers of doing, being patiently waits. Finding harmony between doing and being. The key isn't to abandon doing. Action is necessary. Goals and challenges give life structure, but the answer lies in balance. To live fully, we must make space for both dimensions, doing and being. This balance starts by recognizing that our worth isn't tied to achievements. It's okay to pause, breathe, and reconnect with the present moment. Begin with small steps, moments of mindfulness, stillness, or even just paying attention to your breath. These simple acts can bring you closer to your essence. When we embrace being, we discover that life isn't just about what we achieve, but also about how we experience it. It's not just about the destination, it's about the journey and the connection to ourselves along the way. A path to fulfillment. Balancing doing and being transforms how we live. It brings clarity, peace, and a deeper sense of purpose. Instead of constantly chasing what's next, we learn to appreciate what's now. Instead of feeling empty, we feel whole. So, the next time you feel caught in the whirlwind of life, ask yourself, am I doing or am I being? The answers you seek might be closer than you think, quietly waiting for you to notice. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to slow down in a world that demands constant action? To pause, take a deep breath, and feel a peace that doesn't depend on what's happening around you. This kind of peace comes from the part of us that doesn't care about the past or worry about the future. It's rooted entirely in the present moment. The truth is, the present is the only reality we ever truly have. And reconnecting with this part of ourselves, our state of being, takes time and intention. Awakening to this dimension isn't something that happens overnight. It's not like flipping a switch. Instead, it's a gradual process, a journey back to our essence. It's here that we rediscover we are more than just our actions, our thoughts, or the roles we play. We are something much greater. When we step into this state of being, clarity washes over us, not because we figured everything out, but because we realize we don't need all the answers. Just existing, fully, deeply, and presently is enough. And something amazing happens when we embrace this way of being. Life, which once felt like an endless series of disconnected tasks and events, suddenly gains meaning. Every moment becomes valuable. Peace begins to flow into our lives, and with it, a fresh perspective on the world. But how can we make space for this peace when the demands of life constantly pull us in every direction? The balance between doing and being. The answer isn't about choosing one over the other. It's not about abandoning action or becoming passive. Instead, it's about integration, learning how to let doing and being work together. They're not enemies, they're partners. When they're in harmony, we can find a true sense of balance. Modern life teaches us that we always need to be in motion, producing, achieving, striving for the next big thing. But this constant movement often leaves us feeling empty and dissatisfied. Why? Because it pulls us away from who we really are. When we recognize that being is just as important as doing, we can start living with more presence and authenticity. This doesn't mean giving up your goals or ambitions. Instead, it's about approaching them differently. Imagine if your actions were rooted in the present moment instead of being rushed or mechanical. Imagine if every task, no matter how small, became an opportunity to connect with yourself and the now. This is where the magic happens, bringing presence into your actions. How do we do this? It starts with small, conscious choices. Practices like meditation and mindfulness are incredible tools for shifting your focus. They help you quiet the mind, recognize repetitive thought patterns, and bring attention back to the present. Take meditation, for example. When you sit in stillness, even for a few minutes, something remarkable happens. The constant chatter of doing begins to fade, and the quiet strength of being takes its place. Over time, regular meditation creates an inner space where doing and being flow together seamlessly. Mindfulness, on the other hand, invites you to bring presence into everyday moments. Whether you're walking, working, or simply eating a meal, mindfulness teaches you to slow down, notice the details, and truly engage with the experience. Through this practice, even the most mundane tasks stop feeling automatic. Instead, they become reflections of your deeper presence. By integrating these practices into your life, you'll discover a new way of living. One where action doesn't pull you away from yourself, but instead strengthens your connection to who you truly are. The continuous practice of harmony. Finding balance between doing and being isn't a one-time achievement. It's a practice, one that requires consistent effort and intention. Every moment offers you a chance to align these two dimensions, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll notice profound changes. Less stress, more clarity, and a sense of fulfillment that isn't tied to circumstances. But the journey isn't without its challenges. The greatest obstacle often lies within us, our ego. Overcoming the ego's resistance. The ego is deeply tied to the dimension of doing. It thrives on control, drama, and a never-ending list of goals. It's the part of us that creates internal resistance whenever we try to slow down and be present. And this resistance can be subtle but powerful. Have you ever tried to take a break, only to feel overwhelmed by notifications, calls, or a sudden flood of tasks? It's almost as if the world conspires to pull you back into the hustle. But here's the truth. This isn't the world. It's your ego. The ego whispers that being still is a waste of time, that there's always something more urgent to do. And it's not just external distractions. Internal resistance arises too. Old memories, automatic thoughts, or fears about the future often surface when you try to connect with your state of being. The ego feeds on this chaos because it feels most alive in moments of conflict and control, facing the challenges within. So how do we overcome this resistance? The key isn't to fight the ego, it's to recognize it. When you notice yourself being pulled back into old patterns, pause. Don't judge, just observe. The act of noticing itself is powerful because it breaks the cycle of automatic reactions. Instead of reacting to the ego's demands, bring your attention back to the present. Use tools like your breath, a simple mantra, or the act of focusing on a single moment. Over time, this conscious attention weakens the ego's hold and strengthens your connection to being. A new way of living. The harmony between doing and being is a lifelong practice, but with patience and persistence, it transforms how you experience the world. When you act with presence, every moment becomes meaningful. You stop rushing through life and start living it. The rewards of this integration are profound. Less stress, deeper connections, and a sense of wholeness that no external achievement can provide. Life no longer feels like a race, but a rich tapestry of moments where doing and being come together. So, the next time life feels overwhelming, remember this: balance isn't about doing less or being more. It's about creating space for both. And in that space, you'll find the peace and clarity you've been searching for all along. Have you ever stopped to notice the space between your initial reaction and your deeper presence? It's in this space that awareness begins. When we bring mindfulness into our lives, we create this pause. A moment to step back and observe our impulses instead of letting them control us. Mindfulness isn't about eliminating distractions, but about learning to see them clearly and freeing ourselves from their grip. Staying present amid conflict. Staying grounded in the present, especially during moments of conflict or difficulty, is one of the hardest things we can do. In these situations, the ego often takes over, pushing us toward anger, frustration, or anxiety. But these moments, challenging as they are, hold the greatest potential for growth. When we stay connected to our deeper presence, even in chaos, we open the door to profound transformation. Challenges become opportunities to strengthen our connection to our true essence and weaken the ego's control. Awakening to this sense of being doesn't mean life's problems suddenly vanish. Instead, it means learning to face them differently. What once felt like an endless uphill battle begins to feel more manageable, even meaningful. The real practice of balance. Balancing the doing and being aspects of life isn't something you achieve only during peaceful times. The true test comes in difficult moments, when the demands of life pull at you and the ego pushes for immediate reaction. This is when we're called to respond not with impulsiveness, but with clarity and presence. The process of awakening to being isn't straightforward. It's not a linear path, and it's definitely not free of resistance. But with every challenge we face consciously, we move a step closer to a fuller, more balanced way of living. Over time, this practice leads to a life marked by greater awareness, serenity, and purpose. Challenges as invitations for growth. Awakening to being doesn't mean you'll never face adversity again. In fact, challenges often become more apparent. The difference lies in how you handle them. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you begin to view obstacles as opportunities to grow. Challenges are inevitable. They're part of the human experience, no matter how far you've progressed. But when you're anchored in being, difficulties no longer feel like interruptions. They become invitations to practice presence and deepen your understanding of yourself. Every external conflict or internal struggle becomes a doorway to explore your reactions and strengthen your connection to the moment. For instance, when anger, fear, or frustration arises, the ego tends to take charge. It urges you to act quickly, often without thinking, and drags you back into the endless cycle of doing. But if you pause, breathe, and observe the situation with awareness, you'll notice a different possibility. A chance to let go of the need for control and observe the thoughts and emotions passing through you. Strengthening through presence. It's in these difficult moments that your connection to being grows stronger. This doesn't mean the pain or difficulty disappears. Instead, your relationship with it changes. You begin to accept the moment for what it is, without adding layers of resistance. In this acceptance, a new clarity emerges, guiding you toward a more conscious way of responding. Take personal conflict, for example. Whether it's a disagreement at work or tension in a relationship, the ego wants to prove itself right, defend its position, and protect its pride. But when you're rooted in being, you don't feel the same need to react impulsively. You gain the ability to step back and see the situation as a whole without being consumed by the emotions or thoughts tied to it. This shift in perspective allows you to act with wisdom rather than reactivity. What could have been a heated argument becomes an opportunity to strengthen your inner peace and expand your understanding, turning pain into growth. Even in moments of deep loss or frustration, being offers a foundation to navigate suffering. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity or giving up. It means understanding that resisting reality only deepens the pain. When you accept the moment for what it is, you allow the experience to unfold naturally, without adding unnecessary layers of suffering created by the ego. This process invites a profound level of awareness. You start to see your reactions more clearly and free yourself from the automatic patterns that once held you back. Over time, every challenge, big or small, becomes a gateway for growth. Facing difficulties with presence transforms them from obstacles into lessons, helping you align more deeply with your true nature. New way to live. The continuous practice of presence during challenges leads to a life of greater clarity, serenity, and purpose. When you approach life this way, you stop seeing problems as something to avoid. Instead, you begin to live each experience as an opportunity to deepen your consciousness. This shift in perspective changes everything. Even in adversity, you find a way to grow. You begin to see each moment as an invitation to expand and awaken further to the dimension of being. Over time, this practice of balancing doing and being becomes second nature. It leads to a life that feels whole, aligned, and deeply fulfilling. A full life aligned with truth. Every conscious choice you make, every moment you pause to breathe and notice, brings you closer to a life that feels truly integrated. A life where every action reflects your deepest truth. Challenges will still come, but you'll face them with a sense of purpose and strength that transcends the ego. In this connection, you discover the fullness of life, not in what you achieve or how much you do, but in the simple act of being present. This is the greatest achievement of all, living each moment with clarity, balance, and peace. And it's something we can all access right here and now. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Let's continue this journey together, one breath, one conscious moment at a time.